Hello and welcome to Virtual Art. In this series of videos about everything about walls, we are going to talk about some basic notions and compound walls. In the second video, we're going to talk about sweep and reveals. In the third one, we are going to talk about all the tools that we have to model walls. And in the fourth video, we are going to talk about curtain walls and stacked walls. So in this particular video, we're going to talk about families, the families that we can create with walls, with a wall tool. We are going to talk about the basic concepts of creations of walls, but its parameters, instance and type parameters, also embedded walls and compound walls, of course. So let's get started. So I'm going to go to a ribbon here and the wall tool. And here we can see the three families that we can create: the basic wall family, the curtain wall family, and the stacked wall. So I'm going to create here a basic wall family, here a generic, just to see as an example. Now I'm going to create an storefront from the curtain wall family. And now a stack wall here. Now I'm going to go to a 3D view. Here we can see the three types. This is the basic wall, and it can be conformed by several layers that we can modify, and also some other characteristics. Well, but mainly it is a wall that is conformed by one or more layers of materials inside. So here is a curtain wall that is going to help us to create glass panels. And since it's different from this kind of wall. One difference between this and this wall is that here we can insert normally doors and windows, but here we cannot. So here the process is a little bit more complicated, but we're going to talk about this in a future video. Here is the stacked wall. I'm going to press spacebar to flip it. Here we can see that it has a wall type here and has another wall type here. So stacked walls are going to allow us to stack one wall over the other. So those are the main difference. Now it's important to mention that these three families of walls are what we are going to call system families. That means that are families that we cannot create or change or delete. Those are part of how Revit works. So once we keep that in mind, I'm going to delete this. To get started creating a wall, so I'm going to create a wall here. Let's get started with a simple generic 200 millimeters wall. I'm going to change my units to meters. Actually, those are already in meters. So I'm going to the first level and draw a wall here. Now, here we have some parameters in the options bar. Here we can change the height, choose height or depth. If we choose depth, the value that we insert here by default is in unconnected, but so the value that we insert here is going to go from the level that we're drawing. For example, I'm drawing here. It's telling me that the wall is invisible in my view right now. Okay, I'm going to the sub view, and we can see that the wall has gone, instead of going from the level that I were drawing, that is level 1, it has gone below that level. That is because we have chosen depth. So I'm going to delete this. I'm going to create a wall. So we're going to change it to height. Now, if I choose, instead of unconnected, I choose level 2. And I will draw a wall here. And we can see now that this wall is the top level of this wall is constrained to the second level. So if I change this level, that wall will extend to reach that level. So I'm going to delete again, create another wall. Here we can see the location line. This is related to the structure of the wall, the layers that the wall has. So in this case, if it is by default in wall center line, that means that the line that we are going to draw is going to be the center of the wall. We can also change this to, for example, finish face exterior. Now the line that we're going to draw is going to define the finish face exterior. So the finish face exterior, so the wall is going to be created to one side. And the same goes with core center line. What is a core we're going to see about that later in this video. The change option is going to create automatically is going to be creating the next segment after each click we make. So if I click here, it's automatically going to create another segment. If I deactivate this, if I just click here, that's it. It's not going to automatically create another segment. Offset is going to, as its name says, when you're going to create an offset from the line that we're drawing. So in this case, the wall is going to be created in a distance of 1 meter from the line that I'm drawing. Radius is going to create a fillet in the corners in the wall that I'm creating. So I'm creating a wall here and here. Let's activate chain again. Here and here. And radius is going to create a fillet. Now be careful so you have enough space. So if since I set it to 1 meter, so be careful that the segment that one side has more than 2 meters, or this here is going to be a problem creating a fillet. Right, and join status is going to automatically join the walls or not. For example, if I click disallow and click here and click here, now these walls are not going to be automatically joined. But if I click allow, now these walls are going to be automatically be joined. However, this wall, we are going to see these little symbols here and here. That means that each of these ends are not going to join other walls. So if we want this segment, for example, this end of the wall to join another wall, so I'm going to just click here, the symbol disappears, and it automatically will join with the closest wall, or with a wall that it is overlapping with. So we can also change the instance parameters here. We have a base constraint, the base of the level that this wall is in, the base offset. If I set it to 1 meter, then this wall is going to be, for example, let's take this wall and set it to 1 meter. And I take my cursor from here to here, it's automatically going to update. And this wall is going to be in a distance of 1 meter from the base level. Or we can also simply just click here and draw it in the elevation view. Now base is attached and base extension distance. Well, we're going to see this later on. Now we're going to check out the type parameters. So I click a wall and click edit type. Here we have the type parameters. Here we can see the structure that we are going to check in a moment. Here we can see the wrapping and inserts. This is going to change how closes or how wraps the finished faces of the wall. Just let's go with an example. I'm going to just stay with one wall here, and I'm going to change this to a more complex wall for this exterior brick, for example. I'm going to change the detail so I can see all the layers of the wall, to shade it just to see the colors. Let's change the scale so we have thinner lines and we can see this finished face here, this finished layer. Now I'm going to insert a door, DR, to insert a door, or simply click here. And now I'm going to select this wall. And go to edit type. And here go to both, for example. Wrapping at inserts both. So what it's going to do is when we have an insert, for example, a door or a window, the finished faces of finished layers are going to wrap around the wall, so the core layers are not going to be exposed. And the same and a similar function is going to have this parameter here, wrapping at end. In this case, we are going to just be able to wrap the layer in one side. So let's say the exterior, and okay. So now the exterior layer is going to be wrapping around and meeting the finished face in the other side. And finally, we have a function parameter here that is just for analysis purposes. And now we're going to talk about embedded walls. So I'm going to delete this and I'm going to extend this a little more. And now I'm going to create a curtain wall system. Oh, and before that, just keep in mind that these layers that are wrapping around are meeting, as we can see right here, like in the middle. So this may vary depending on the insert that we put here. So this door or this or a window, if it is the case, are going to be designed so or set to determine where the finished layers are going to meet. So in one family, in one type of door, in one family of door, it may be here, in another maybe here, so it may vary, it may not be the same with all the walls and all the doors and all the windows. So I'm just going to delete here and create a curtain wall. So wall, storefront, and I'm going to click here right in the middle and here. So I have seen that when I just draw a wall right over the other one, now it has actually cut through the first wall. So I can just reduce its height. And we can see that now we have an embedded wall. It is a wall that is inside, cutting through another one. So if I click this and change its direction, it's just going to follow the rotation or the position of the first wall. So these two walls are going to act as a single one. So this may be very useful just to creating, for example, the facade of a store, for example. Now we are going to talk about the creation of compound walls. So I'm going to delete this. Click here and I'm going to edit type. And now we're going to talk about the structure. This parameter, this button here, edit structure. So here we can extend this here in preview. And I'm going to change this to here we can see the in a plane view or in a section view. Here we can see the sample height. We can change if this, for example, too long to our needs. We can change this, so maybe this is more easy to see. Now here we have the number of layers that we are using, that this wall has. Here is the function. We can choose between these 6 functions here. This number that we can see after each name is going to determine its priority when this wall is meeting another wall. So for example, if I have, I'm going to close this. See, if this wall intersects with, I'm going to create a similar wall. So I'm going to click here, right click and create similar. So I create a similar wall here. So we can see that this element that is connecting and cutting through all the other elements are the core, the structure layer, has a structure function. So I'm going to click here, a type. So this thick part of the wall has this structure function. So that means that it is going to cut through all the other layers just to meet the structure of the other wall that it is intersecting with. So these numbers are going to set the priority, which one is going to cut through which layers. So I'm going to extend this to preview. Just reduce it a little bit. So this is it. Now, when creating a wall, just take into account that this order between the function, the priority, the function of these elements must be from a lower number or a higher priority to a lower priority or a higher number. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's say I put here this one that is membrane layer is let's say a 4, for example, and we click OK, it's going to give us an error. It says 0 thickness layers must have, first of all, this was a membrane layer, and membrane layers must have a 0 thickness here. But if I change this to another layer, all these other layers or these other functions must be a value different than 0 or higher than 0. So let's say that I change this one to 5. This one actually has a thickness. So I click to OK, and it gives us another error. This says layer function priorities cannot ascend from the core boundary to the finished face. So that's what I was talking about. We have to set it, since we have here 1 and we have here 3, we must choose a value from these two. So we can choose 2 or we can choose 3. Let's leave it with 2 for now. Now here we have the wraps column. Here we're going to set if this layer is going to wrap around when we use the wrap function that we have just seen. And structural material, that once again this is for analysis purposes. Now here we can create a new layer. For example, let's say I want to add a layer between these 3 and 4. So I'm going to insert. This layer cannot have a 1 value, so it can, since it is between the 3 and the 4, it may have just a 3 or a 4 priority. Let's say it has 4, and we must add a thickness here. So let's say that I add this 10 centimeters, and it is going to add this layer here. And here, of course, we can add a material. Like if we click here, we may here add a material here in the material browser. Just select a material and okay. So I'm going to delete this. Now let's say we want to create some segments here that we are going to want to play a bit more with these layers. So here we have some options. The first one here is modify. So modify is going to allow us to pick sub elements here. So I click modify, and we can now click in boundaries. If I click here, we can see that it is locked. So to unlock, I must just put my cursor right over the center of the lock symbol. So there it is. It is turned orange, in an orange color. So now I'm going to click here. We must be very precise so it works. Now that it doesn't mean that we are going to be able to drag here individually. If we drag here, we are going to be dragging all the layers at the same time, no matter if it's locked or if it's not. We are going to be modifying this value here. But this actually means that we can extend this layer beyond the other ones. So I'm going to click here on OK. And OK. Now we can see that here top extension distance was grayed out before. Now it is accessible. So we can just say, for example, set it a value to 1 in the go to the 3D view, and we can see here that this layer has extended 1 meter from the other layers. And we can also, of course, here in the 3D view, we can manually extend and set how much this layer is going to. So that's what we can do there. Now here we can split the regions. So let's say that we have some heavy materials here, and we want that our core wall goes in the base, comes out, and supports all the other layers here, since it is a structural material. So we can click here in split region, and I'm going to just click here, and click here. So now I'm going to click modify. Don't press escape because you're going to close the window if you do that, and click on modify. And now we can pick individually these split regions. So when we click here, we can see that there is an arrow. This arrow is going to be showing where if this line is going to be placed according to the lower level or the upper level. So if I click here, we must be very, very precise here. There, I click here. Now it is taking the placement of this line is going to be set in a distance from the upper side of the wall to this place. So let's say that since we want this core to be supporting all the other layers, so we want to be placed in a distance, in a specific distance, or in a fixed distance from the lower part of the wall. So I'm going to click here to invert this. As I say, we must be very precise here. And now we can change this value. Let's say that we want to put it to 50 centimeters. Yeah, well, it's telling me that it can't put 50 centimeters because it cannot surpass the other division that we have here. So I'm going to start editing from the inside out. So I'm going to click here, and let's say we can just put it up here. So now we can put here 0.5. So now we have 50 centimeters here. Now here is going to be the distance from here to here. So I'm going to put just 0. Nope, is here. 0 here. And 0 to the next one. Now to apply this is, now we have split these regions. So now we want to this part be the same material as this one. So one thing we can do is to merge regions. So I'm going to merge this one and this one. So these are the same material, and we can also merge this one with a core. So if in this case it has automatically apply this material. In case we want to apply another material, we can use select. I'm going to click OK, so we can, because I like how it is, and click edit again. So if I want, for example, just apply this material to this region, I select this layer and click assign layers, and now I click the layer that I want to apply to. I click, and now it is applied to the other layer. Yeah, well, however, be very careful when you do this. If you do this, you have to first place a layer right over the other one, because if we can create this structure, it really make us some problems. And click here OK, and indeed it is telling another error. Core should contain a non-membrane layer. Row 0 thickness layer must have membrane layer functions or be deleted. So it's saying that only membrane layers can have a thickness of 0. All other function layers must have a value higher than 0. So we're going to set this to 2. Well, in this case, Revit is going to create this. I guess it was around this. But be very careful with this. So one way to pay attention to, so avoid problems, is that we can select this layer, and if I select the next one, it's going to select the next one to the left, and click the next one, and it's going to select the next one here, and the next one, and the next one. So we must keep this continuity, this order in the layers here and here, so Revit can create this wall. So if, for example, if I merge these two regions, now we kind of have one. The first layer is all this, the second one is this, and the third one is this. And the structure now skips this one and comes here. So this is going to create an error. So these errors can happen if we merge these layers, so in this weird way. So try to avoid that. So I'm going to edit this. Well, I put here 2 meters, it's too much. So that will be everything for now. In the next video we're going to talk about these two options, that sweep and reveals functions of the wall. So if you like this video, remember you can give me a like, you can also subscribe and activate the bell to receive notifications of my videos. You can also follow me in the social networks. Thanks and bye!